Okay, so there's this massive global conflict playing out right now. But get this, it's not over land or oil, it's a fight, a battle, really, for these tiny, almost invisible materials that, no joke, power our entire modern world. So yeah, let's dive right in. I mean, check out this quote from Reuters. It paints a pretty intense picture, doesn't it? We're talking about the auto industry here, a total giant of global manufacturing, and they're in full-on crisis mode. You've got execs scrambling, holding these emergency meetings, basically trying to figure out how to stop their assembly lines from just grinding to a halt.
And what's causing all this panic? It's not some huge, obvious supply shock. Nope. It's a shortage of these tiny but incredibly powerful components. We're talking about magnets and the special elements they're made from. It's a conflict over stuff so small, you could probably hold everything a car needs right in the palm of your hand. Wild, right?
Okay, so let's get concrete here. What's the immediate impact? Well, last year, Ford actually had to hit pause on making its Explorer SUV. And Volvo, they had to shut down an entire factory for a week. And the culprit for both? You guessed it, a shortage of these critical rare earth magnets. Now, you probably don't think about these things day to day, but rare earth elements, they are everywhere in a modern car. I mean, literally everywhere. They're in the microchips, sure. They're in the little motors that power your windows and fans, the sensors for your anti-lock brakes. But, and this is the big one, they are the absolute heart of the powerful motors and batteries you find in every single hybrid and electric vehicle. Okay, to really get what's going on, we have to zoom out, way out, from the car factory floor to the entire global supply chain. So what are these things, really? And maybe more importantly, who holds the keys to the whole kingdom? So first off, the name rare earths is kind of misleading. See, these 17 elements, they aren't actually all that rare geologically. You find them all over. The real problem, the bottleneck, is that they are incredibly difficult and super expensive to mine and then process into something you can actually use. And that difficulty, well, that's central to this whole story.
And wow, this chart right here just lays it all out, doesn't it? It's a pretty stark picture of the whole geopolitical landscape. This is not a diverse market, folks. China produces almost 70% of the world's rare earth elements. Think about that. That gives them an incredible amount of leverage. In the US, we're a distant second at just over 12%.
And look, this didn't just happen by accident. It's not just a matter of geology. China's dominance today is the direct result of a decades-long industrial strategy. They poured money into the really complex processing technologies, they cultivated the engineering talent, and they used price controls to basically corner the market and become the world's go-to indispensable supplier. So once that dominance was locked in, the stage was set for a whole new kind of conflict. You could call it supply chain warfare. And in late 2025, those simmering trade tensions between the US and China finally boiled over. And what was right at the center of it all? Rare earths. And when it happened, things escalated fast. I mean, incredibly fast. Okay, look at this timeline. On October 9th, China drops the hammer with strict new export licensing rules. The very next day, the US fires right back with huge tariffs and its own tech controls. This chaos forced emergency diplomatic talks, which led to China announcing what they called a temporary pause on some of the new rules in early November. But, and this is the really crucial part, this was just a tactical pause. This was not a full retreat. So yeah, some of the brand new rules got suspended, but the controls that had the most teeth, those stayed right in place. There's still a complete ban on exports for any U.S. military use. And there are still controls on 7 key heavy rare earths. We're talking about things like dysprosium, which are absolutely vital for high-performance magnets. So who feels the squeeze? While the impact ripples across the most critical sectors of the entire economy, the defense industry is hugely vulnerable. Get this, a single F-35 fighter jet needs 900 pounds of this stuff. 900 pounds. We already talked about the auto sector, obviously, but it also slams the semiconductor industry and aerospace manufacturing, which depend on these elements for literally everything, from chip-making machines to advanced alloys. So, facing this massive vulnerability, Washington basically decided it couldn't just sit around and wait for the other shoe to drop. The response has been a huge multi-billion-dollar push to build a totally secure and independent supply chain right from the ground up. And the headline number here is just staggering. $12 billion. That's the price tag for something they're calling Project Vault. It's the super ambitious plan to make sure the U.S. is never held hostage over these critical materials ever again. I mean, that number alone is a pretty clear signal of just how seriously this threat is being taken. So how are they going to spend all that money? Well, the plan is really built on 4 key pillars. Okay, first step, create a U.S. strategic critical minerals reserve, kind of like we have for oil. Second, they're providing $10 billion in government loan backing to get private industry moving. Third, they're investing $400 million directly for a 15% stake in the biggest domestic producer, a company called MP Materials. And fourth, they're guaranteeing a customer for them by securing a 10-year Pentagon deal to buy 100% of MP's magnet production. That's a big deal.
But hey, this isn't just a US government story. All around the world, the free market is responding in a big way. Companies and entire countries are scrambling to find and develop alternative sources for these critical materials, all trying to break that reliance on a single supplier.
And you can see this market shift happening in real time. Just look at a company like Lynas, which is an Australian rare earths miner. In the wake of all these supply chain shocks, its revenue is forecast to literally double in 1 year. It's expected to jump from about $500 million to over $1 billion Australian dollars. That, right there, is what happens when the whole world is desperately looking for a new supplier. But it's not just about finding new mines. There's an even bigger, more fundamental shift happening in how we even think about the supply chain. See, the old way was totally linear. You mine it, you refine it, you make something, and then you throw it away. The new model, the more sustainable one, is circular. It's about recognizing the huge stores of rare earths we already have. They're just locked away in all our e-waste.
And the potential for recycling here is just immense. You're tapping into millions and millions of tons of old circuit boards, batteries, and magnets. It dramatically cuts down on the environmental damage from new mining. And the economic incentive is huge. It can be up to 40% cheaper than digging new stuff out of the ground. And maybe most importantly, it creates a domestic source of these materials, which helps insulate a country from all these geopolitical games.
So here we are. The world is in a flat-out race to rewire the entire supply chain for the most critical elements of our modern age. And that leaves us with a pretty big question, right? Will this frantic effort to diversify, to bring production back home, actually lead to a more stable, more resilient global economy? Or are we just drawing new battle lines for the resource wars of the future?